Hey guys, Ben here from Second Dynasty. It is Friday, which means we are doing our Friday live stream, showing you what we have been up to over the last week. And yeah, we've actually got a lot done this week. In the background, you might hear Albin tapping away, or weird sounds like that. That is definitely Albin. Anything that's weird, it's Albin. Who has done a fantastic job of updating the official Traveler Rampart fighters, both what we're calling colloquially the A and B version. Basically, he took the original Rampart, the A, and added the weapon systems modularity that we had in our Operation Maelstrom Starfighter campaign from last year. So you can attach different weapon systems, missiles, that sort of thing, and it's also compatible with our more modernized version of the stand. And in addition, we have the B version, or trainer or command version of the Rampart, which has a twin-seater configuration. Yeah, maybe we can show those off actually, because we have them printed, of course. Bring the Ramparts.
Yes. Rampart.
Let's see. Let's make this awkward. Okay, so let's start with this is the standard version, right? Here we go. So not a huge big difference, but you can see we kind of stuck just some weapons pods on that from the rocket pods from Operation Maelstrom. You can see under the wings there's a new development there. Those little outcroppings are actually where the landing gear are now stored. It just creates a bit more balance with the model when you are employing the landing gear. So that's that one. Then we have the twin-seater, and you can see it actually has the landing gear deployed on one side. It's just a test version. I'll try and get this closer to the camera. It is actually tapping it. Hey, it's actually focusing.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. So yeah, the lid slides off. This isn't a perfect fit because I didn't sort of like clean it up very much. We were just using our clear filament. It is longer. The wings are further back, right? Yeah. There's like an extra inch of length here, just to create a bit of balance. And it has a 4 landing gear system. Oh, we dropped it. It crashed and burned.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that's the Rampart.
Thank you.
We released the very beautiful Jaws 41 there.
Nice.
My Gripen sequel with stealth characteristics. It's kind of like, imagine if Saab did their own version of the F-22. That's kind of the concept here. I don't have the missiles installed, but you can see the very extensive detail there for modular weapons. Ironically, this doesn't actually have a gun visible. Very happy with the way this came out. This is a very old design of mine from, I did the first iteration in 2009. I did the second iteration in 2012, and now I finally get to make it printable in 2024.
It is awesome.
In addition to that, today, or rather just this, I forgot to make the graphic. But yeah, let's switch back to my Maya scene here. This is the release we are doing today for the Traveler campaign. Not the actual ship itself here. Let's remove that and pretend this doesn't look sus at all. So let's bring that back. Yeah, everything's normal here. So this is what we call the Small Craft Cradle, and it is a modular system, open lock, but also compatible with some of our you can see the partitions here that we've used in the Beowulf and the Type S. We have like an access corridor. You have an inner airlock area which brings you up to level with where the ship's going to be. This would probably be considered a waste of space in a Traveler ship. You could probably kit this out and make some modifications, but I wanted the patterns to be pretty. Access panel here for a sort of lower level crawl space or whatever. Actually, you might have another deck underneath that. It might be split level. That's kind of up to you to imagine. But we come to a passenger airlock. We have everything on the inner side of the ship. You can see there's even like a little docking target here, a window that people can sort of view the ship through. Probably could have gone up a little bit higher with that window. I forgot that there's a little thingy there, so maybe we'll do that in a future version. But in any case, extensive work, a lot more than I originally anticipated. Actually, I should be on the hang on, what's going on here? Let me refresh this page. I just want to make sure we are actually streaming. Yes, we are. Alright, sorry. When I switched over to look at the chat, it had this warning saying things weren't streaming, but obviously it was. So hello Solo Spirit, Tamsin, Brian, Zorma's back. Long time since you caught a stream. Nice to see you here, my friend. Shergol, Maxim, Tamsin. I said Tamsin already. Yeah, it's nice to see some familiar faces there. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, we have these different docking areas. I guess this is like an accordion-like thing that would extend out. I'm guessing there would be an outer door, but we have not modeled one just because this has already grown into 40 unique parts. It is modular, so you can extend this as much as you want. You can extend the cargo section too, with this middle section. So yeah, modularity will do the trick. So out of this comes another future product. Now this is nothing that we have actually listed as a promise for the Traveller campaign. And there is a little bit of background Traveller stuff going on at the moment. I've been in touch with Mark Miller. I've also been in touch with Matthew Sprange from Mongoose. Just talking for the time being. But yes, that's what I've been doing this afternoon, which has taken up a bit of time. I did intend to get started on the next stretch goal that I'm going to be working on. Now, currently, John is working on the Small Craft miniatures, and from what I understand, the first 3 or 4 of those are done. Actually, no, the first 4 are done. He just needs to do the Rampart variants. Then we have, so probably next week we'll have the Small Craft 270 miniatures and tactical miniatures. That is the second Dynasty style, not the Instead style. That will be a little bit further on, but coming. Then, let's see, Albin is just about finished with the Slow Pinnace. And we're implementing some of the design choices that John's made to make them more effective and printable. So, for example, his most recent versions of the cargo bay, rather than having, I think I could demonstrate this if I isolate here. So we previously did this style where this all printed as one solid piece with the top section here to create a frame around the door. He has made the frame a bit deeper so it actually holds in place without this top section and integrated that into the top, which is great because this could be flimsy and snap easily. So, Albin has implemented a lot of the design improvements. Some things are small, like just having less clip hole ports because it will save time at printing filament. Yeah, so there's a lot going on, and then Albin has also gotten started on the 30-ton fuel module. So between all that, there's a lot going on. And I'm going to be working on one of the alternative cabs next week. Hey Brian, welcome. Michael Teneru, welcome back. Launch all Vipers indeed. Action stations, action stations. So, there is a lot going on, and before we get too far, I just want to pimp out our next campaign starting on... Well, there's a couple of things that's going to happen. One, on the 2nd of February, we are going to have a free month of... a free trial, rather, for new subs on our tribes. The JAS 4041 Vampiren that I showed you guys. This thing was our last Tribes release. $5 for this thing. It's extremely complicated. I think that is very generous.
Yes.
That will be included with the free trial as well, because next month's release will be the the Stalwart Part 2. Now, the Stalwart Part 1 was our sort of like saucer-like module, a Star Trek-inspired mini ship. The Stalwart Part 2 is going to be like the nacelles section, only it's going to have like a command module where the sort of, I guess, sensor section would be. And the idea is eventually we will be able to join them up and you will have a mini Star Trek style ship. But that won't be coming until the 22nd. But the thing is, so if you have never joined our tribes before, you can try it out for a free month, get the Vampiren for free, and this other ship later on in the month. On the 6th, we are relaunching, well, I don't know if I'd even call it a relaunch at this point. We're going back to Delta. The 2400 version. We just recently updated the Delta Transport Delta from Starship 3 2019. We released that. So as a part of Kathy's campaign a couple of months back, we did a slightly updated version for increases in printability. Over the Christmas break, I couldn't help myself and revisited the model, basically changed 95% of it, re-released it as a free update, so everyone can get the 1700 version. And, wait, this is just a preview of the campaign. I want to see the actual Frontier page. So, because this is, that picture was Kathy's version. So if I go to upcoming here, you can find it under there as the Transport Delta 2400, and we get to this sign up page. So we have about 150 people signed up so far, which is great. This is the 1700 here, which is like the version Kathy did. This is the 2400. At first I was just going to make a different interior, but no, it's me. We have those brand new Falcon style turrets that were really cool. The 2400 is a fully realized version of what we just called the top deck version of the original Transport Delta. It has a full layout, which I had. I can turn off. This black stuff here is for like blockers, light blockers. So it's for rendering the interior, and we can actually see the interior I did render. So this is probably actually a nicer version to look at. We have a combination of upper and lower decks here. You can see it has a default missile launcher. We are going to update the missile launcher too. We do have the files, they just need to be implemented. You have like the lower deck is for passengers. The upper deck, not 100% finished because we need to put a kitchenette, but this is for crew. As crew, sleeping quarters, a fresher, and it will have a kitchenette when it's done. Of course, whole new engines, much more sophisticated and cool looking, a hyperdrive. Still got the cargo bay and these really cool turrets. Let's have a look at this in 3D briefly. I'll turn off the light blockers. There we go. Should be able to see it. Got a whole new light system in here because I just wanted a different look. So you've still got a cargo bay. It's nice and asymmetric. 2 engineering sections. You got your nice hyperdrive there. The engines, I think, look really cool, if a little bit, you know, dangerous. And the brand new turrets here, I still need to put in like the gunner seats, but yeah, you can. Sorry, the window's there, so I need to pick this thing up. So yeah, a view from the gunnery section should remind you of a particular film. If you can imagine, yeah, not really how it's meant to work, but yeah, this new turret system will be compatible with any Delta, as is, although we may need to make additional versions if we want the sort of top and bottom version of that. So that is the 2400 as is. There'll probably still be 1 or 2 changes before the end. I just updated the graphics today. And yeah, get onto that pre-marketing page. The link is in the description, but here it is here, in case you're missing it. And to be fair, anyone that owns the Delta will be sending out a code where you can basically get 75% off the base version, essentially offsetting the cost of us upgrading the base version. And then maybe a little bit more if you want the version that includes whatever stretch goals we might unlock. So I have no idea how well it's going to go. It could be a small campaign, it could be a big one. Star Wars does at least have some tabletop games that you could use it with and scale it up for. So Cassius says, love the update. Thank you very much. A lot of love went into it, to be honest. So yeah, that's where things are at. It is really cool, I think, when it's physically printed. We just got some filament yesterday. We can finally get the printers going again. They're going. They were going quite a lot last week, weren't they, Alvin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we do have a lot going on, and this will be a productive week, I think, ahead, with plenty more releases. But as I said, this week we've got at least 3 releases for the Traveller campaign that we had back at the end of October. So let's move on to a different scene to this. And if you guys have any questions or comments about all this stuff with the updates here in the first 15 minutes, please feel free to ask in the chat. You can see we don't have a huge... okay, so there was a mentioning big enough for outer door that's a moving iris. Yes, an iris outer door is something I can imagine. But that's not something I'm going to do now, mostly because it's just more additional work. And honestly, I spent so much time on this stretch goal, it's beyond the scope of what was originally visualized. Like, honestly, let's see, is this the right one? Yeah, Small Craft. If we go into the stretch goal section here, let's turn off this menu. So this was the first one here. Maybe I can find a better graphic for this. Let's see, the cradle. Here it was. So this was the original graphic for it. I don't know why that's off to the side. It's kind of odd. Why can't I pan? In any case, you can see there was not much detail here at all. So this is what the only thing I really promised, right? Then the delivery side of things is much more comprehensive. There are a couple of things we had to make some creative choices on. I've made a new sliding airlock door. So this one is meant to shut and close like this. Something more interesting that of course will be compatible with any of our Traveller inserts. We left an iris door on this one, but basically the issue is there's not enough room behind this wall to actually have an iris. Basically, to have an iris you need about to the top of that floor here and around in a square there. So it's basically a 2 by 2 inch area that you would need for the blades to retract into. It is an issue with some Traveller deck plans, that there is just not enough room for an iris. I didn't want to make something that's more like a submarine style door just because they have to stick out, and obviously the kind of frames that we've built haven't worked that way. But I have customized the semiotics here. You can see there's the different symbols that should be correct for this kind of area. You could just mirror this if you wanted to have 2 launch bays next to each other, for example. It might not make sense with where the cargoes go on, but you know, there's options. And it is modular. And speaking of modular, this will be a future product. We never actually did open lock tiles for our Traveller models. So this is sort of a collection to sort of create a standardized system so you could basically build your own, so I guess squarish. We have walls. These follow the same system that we used in Starship The Next Generation. The only difference is we haven't split the walls, and that's because you're using partitions anyway. We would not split the partitions. You You can see versions here that allow you to take the partitions. We'll do a couple of different variants. This is a future product. It's not anything we have added yet. I might get it out before the end of the month and just put it on as an add-on on the Traveller Small Craft campaign, or maybe we'll save it for a later date. What are your thoughts on that? Let me know in the chat or in the comment section. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe if you are not already. So yeah, we're going to close this off. Actually, I should look at the comments first because there might be some related to this before we change this scene. Let's see. Michael Tennery says, this new version is incredible. Thank you, my friend. A whole new door as well. That will be useful in other places too. Yeah, I think so. Sure Goal says, I meant the ship door, not the people doors. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, I know. Like making an iris at the end. Basically that this corridor would be extended, right? And then you would have like an outer hole iris door. Now my reason for not doing that, like this would be ideal for like a starport scene. Maybe not so like obviously this would not fit into like it's the wrong orientation for say a broadsword mercenary cruiser. But you know, still this could make for good scenery. It's somewhere to park a ship. You just take the landing gears off and you should be able to slide it right in. And we're not going to go into any more detail about that. In some ways, I'm going to be happy to leave behind the small craft just so that all the snide smirks, jokes, and such we can move on from them. Let's see. Brian says, iris doors have been way overused in Traveller deck plans. I would tend to agree. And I think sometimes the artists aren't really thinking about, well, what is an iris? How does it work? That Blasted Semaphone says, will you ever do tile/walls that use support eclipse instead of open lock? Support eclipse? I don't quite know what you're talking about, unless you mean like... Do you mean John Small Eclipse?
Yeah.
See, the thing is, the sheer volume of open lock clips we have in our catalogue, I can't imagine changing the clip systems. We've had this discussion before from Ian from Dragon's Rest and other people. Conversion clips, sure. Actual going back and replacing things, it sounds like a nightmare. And I don't think it will be financially viable. Moving your head, you could switch, but then you risk making sure that your other stuff isn't really backwards compatible. So it is an issue. Let's see. Fiery Phoenix remarks 57th century technology. What with like I guess you just teleport those irises into like an interdimensional space.
It's like a pocket dimension.
A pocket dimension just for iris blades. Yeah. Shirogol says, yeah, totally extra for this stretch goal, and Brian remarks with a lol, which is good. Okay, I'm going to imagine that people like this idea. I don't know how big the kit would be or how much we would divide it up. We probably have some kind of basic introductory price or something like that. So a lot of potential to create, modular terrain. So you could use it for starports, you could use it for bases, just general science fiction terrain, and then, over time we can add to it with more Traveller-styled semiotics that are built in. Of course, you could just use stickers or, transfers, that sort of thing. But I think these, because we make it slightly 3D, it does make it fairly easy to paint. And actually, we do the fine details on these things usually with just a red pen. So, yeah, there's lots of options. And of course, you can change the length of this. If you wanted to, you could also close this off in places and just have, the pattern sort of like... technically, I have saved the areas to close it off, but I think, honestly, you just want to see down into the base. So I did have a version where this was fully closed, but then it's like, what's the point? I really do like the... the idea of looking down into the bay as the ship's docking. and you can kind of wave to the crew and everything. So, yeah. All right, let's move on to today's work. I'm not in a huge rush today, but at the same time, I'm going to try and just do a regular stream. We have a lot of stuff to cover for next week. Not to mention the fact that I worked a lot at home last weekend on Saturday to get the Vampiren out. Vampiren is the Swedish word for the vampire. It is the definitive article, as is all of the sub-fighter names. So it's not actually Griffin for Gripen, it's the Griffin, and such. So it is slightly different from, but that's kind of just the way that Swedish works. Alright, so let's open up our, let's see, we want, not, I keep reading Slow Pinnace wrong. Let's see, I need to scroll down to find Small Craft Production 2024, that's the one I want. Let's save this scene. Hey Dalton! Nice to see you got a few minutes to pop in before work and say hi. Good to see you, mate. Hope you get some time off this weekend. I don't know why I would want you to have time off, but I have some stuff to talk to you about too soon. Other stuff. Anyway, Cassius says, nuts, I'm losing my connection. Thanks for the great work you do. Well, sorry, I didn't laugh at like the thanks. That's most welcome. It's much appreciated, actually. Let's see. I am going to turn off the slow boat. I'm going to turn off the base ship. Wait, actually, can I? This is on MC top, and this one is not actually. I can't turn off the base model. That seems weird. Launch 20 ton. There we go. So that's turned off. And what I'm going to start working on. Now there's a couple of options. We have the Grant cab, which I love, and we have the spherical cab. Where is that one? Cutter cab original. They're kind of intersecting with each other here, so it's probably easier to look at these one at a time. Personally, I look at the original sort of cutter module rounded top, and I'm like, it's okay. I do kind of wish in some ways we went even further, because I probably would have done like a more squarish space trucker look, and at some point in the future we might, depending on like if we extend the license and whatnot, go back to the modular cutter and do something that actually is the same diameter as the actual module itself, to get like a more traditional look. But of course none of that's going to fit in this docking frame because it changes widths. Technically you could probably like jury rig up a version where just the front area docks in, leaving the top off. But that would be about it. Just the tip. Oh god. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. So I'm going to turn that off.
You couldn't resist just the tip. Oh, sorry.
Yes. Welcome to Second Dynasty.
Oh, yeah.
Thankfully our HR section is not here today.
Yeah.
So this is what we call the Grant cab, named after the artist who designed this. I believe it is a, I don't want, not Mega Traveler, but like a GURPS Traveler. I think it's a GURPS design from the beginning. Mm-hmm. This makes my heart sing. The only issue is, what do we do with it? Because there is so much unused space in this thing. All of this front cannot just be for avionics and RCS. So this is what I'm going to be working on, just making it printable. Although, to be fair, probably what I'm going to do today is detail the underside of the hull. So let's see. Brian says, there goes all the seriousness of the stream. Ben said slow P. Yes. Dalton says, been working since 4 a.m. my time with on-call issues, just having my first coffee. I'm sorry, mate. Busy as always. We get some Snickers from Fiery Phoenix. That Blasted Camouflage says, I do love that cab. And then says pop-up turret. That would have been if we got a lot higher with stretch goals, maybe. And then smuggler cargo in the front. Well, I think it might look a bit suspicious, but let's consider what we need to consider here. I think there is something attached to this. I just can't remember what. I think it's aligned to the modular cutter. No? I could have sworn there was like a cutter workshop. No. Cargo module. No. We did have the Grant engine. So that would also be another thing for the near future. So this is the engine section that goes with this style of ship, and then of course it's compatible with any of the ships that are this wide. But yeah, I just need to do some more hull detailing. We probably need to look up some of the base art that this is based on, and I think I saved some of it. I don't have it in high detail. I do need to, after the stream, I do need to put the cradle out. So technically we have everything, I just haven't made a page for it yet on my mini factory. So look out for that this afternoon, about probably half an hour after the stream ends. So in about an hour's time. So let's look for the materials. Let's see. Now this is a small craft. I'm thinking it could be in the components image. Yes, here's one version. See, this is what I mean. I don't have very large artwork references for this. And I don't believe this... See, I think this is the same model based on the front. I think we also have this reference. And again, we can't really see the bottom, but we would have to have an RCS cluster down the bottom just to get that, you know, the correct orientation. We have this panel on the side. I don't know if we added that detail. I guess that's this thing. So really it looks like we've got free range here, with the exception of needing to have some RCS. So I guess we should start with the RCS itself, Reaction Control System.
Oh yeah.
Which would be, you know, a backup conventional thruster system for maneuvering in zero gravity or microgravity. Hey John, nice to see you, my friend. Bot Bay, what do you mean, Solar Spirit? Like having like probes stored in there or something? See, what I would do if it didn't require remodeling this front console, oh great, we've got the glass in, would be to actually, now I wonder if my original cabin is in here. It might actually be in the, let's turn off the Grant cab for a second and go back to the modular cutter original version. I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is wider, and look what I was planning to do with it. So let's just isolate this so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. Maybe grab that as well, grab the lower sections. So you can see here, I was actually planning to have a sort of, like, here the floor is a bit lower as well, before I kind of figured out where I was going with things. Actually, no, it's the same level. But yeah, I was going to have this underfloor area, and what I was going to put there, let's select this, but not there, and that, was a sleeping area. So I'm wondering if maybe how much of a pain it would be to do something like this. And if we could reuse it in that, like having a sleeper section underneath. There's plenty of room here to just have like a bunk on either side, right? Let's see. Sleeping space says Tamsin. Solar Spirit says for 0G cargo handling. Oh, you mean like a bot bay? The bots would handle the cargo? Yeah, maybe. Sleeping space would be cool. The thing is, like, we're gonna have to figure out how to look down into this thing. So I think we're going to actually have to turn this top section into a removable plate. And we need to consider that with how it's going to print out. Because right now we haven't put very much consideration at all as to how this piece is going to work. We have some major issues actually that we need to consider. And one of them, I think the easiest thing is that we create a split here. This will print flat. Oh, but no. Oh no, this is a nightmare piece actually. And the reason for it being that there's nothing to support several different sections of this. So either we would cut it and have it be removable. Here we have the same issue where we've got these wings. This is kind of probably not enough of a steep angle that you will get a nice print result.
Speaking of problems,
yeah.
Maybe John asked if you switched out the landing gear with the new ones he made, because you had to modify this to fit how the others do.
I haven't changed anything yet, so we're not at that stage, and I don't think we'll get to that stage either. Honestly, I think all we'll get done in the next 20 minutes is some paneling down the bottom. The only real consideration I still want to discuss this because it's good to have community feedback. This is probably going to take me several days to do. I think it'll look cool. We might have to make the wings so that they're a separate object that you plug in. In fact, I think that's going to be necessary. The windows have a curve in them, which is unfortunately not great. You really kind of need to consider where the bridging is going here. There are a couple of challenges actually with this model in particular. So aside from creating a very ugly split in certain places and dividing this up, like one of the things I hate about the JAWS 41, let me switch to the other camera again, is see the number of different sections I had to make. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to get all of this shape because of the way that stealth patterns work. So the reason that particular object took so long to make is because you're trying to figure out the 3D conversion process. And one of the reasons where I was like, oh, I love this design, but oh god, it's going to be a pain in the ass. So technically it would actually probably have been better, and I can actually probably get away with doing this because it's not too much. It would actually be better to move these sections forward enough that this control panel would end flush with the hull here, so that we would extend out basically this plate. Oops. Let's just do this really quickly. So we want to, you send this out to the air, right, basically, and then everything gets moved forward. Let's just manually move this for the sake of it, so that if you imagine we're moving different parts of this as well, you would extend this out to about there. By doing that, we avoid the issue of non-supported sections, right? Now some people have complained that there's a gap here that could be unsightly. Maybe we can address that with this, I don't know. It wasn't really a plan of mine to do it, but now it's kind of in my head. So yeah, let's look at these comments because there's a lot of stuff coming in. Let's see. Shurgol says, like a long haul cab, I guess about the sleeping space, yes. Dalton says that flat area in the front of the window would look better if it had the same design as the front of the A2. And by A2 you mean the Far Trader, I think. You mean more like Falcon style? John says, about the landing gear. But yeah, it would be better to implement that so you don't have to switch out that again. We'll save some time. I just need to get the right FBXs in. Actually, maybe we can make up an FBX with some of those like common objects just as standalones, so that we're not messing around with changing shaders and things. Michael Tenry says, the openable compartment will work, of course. As usual, Ben will obsess over the details. Yeah, no doubt. I could just do this solid and save myself 2 days of work. And I'm not promising that this is going to be finished next week. I do need to put a little bit of time into the upcoming 2400 campaign. Where did that go? Is that this one? Yeah. So there is a little bit of work to be done here to get promotion and that sort of stuff ready to go. So it's not going to be perfect. The A2 is the Beowulf. Why is it the A2? I thought the Type A is the Beowulf and the A2 is the Far Trader. What is it? The Princess Minerva or something like that. Ben secretly loves it when you sing Swedish opera. Just start singing chess. It's close enough. Musicals. Don't actually do that, Alf.
I was thinking which one, if started in use, is from chess.
I don't know. I've never seen chess.
It's a board game.
It's also a musical by Bjorn and Benny from ABBA. The Dalton Calford says that fighter looks like the proper size for a Rampart. The fighter? Oh, the new version. Okay, I'm guessing you're watching back the stream. Yes, the A2 is normally the Far Trader. Yeah, so that's why I was confused. So yeah, John is like, minus chess. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. So yeah, there's a couple of different things we can do here. I feel like I am obsessing over this. It's going to need a little bit more time and thought to be put into it. But basically, I imagine there to be a plate here that you can remove, so you'll be able to see down into the sleeper cabin. Or I think it'll be a sleeper cabin. You got lots of room in here. You've still got plenty of room for avionics. Yeah, why not? You could potentially have a little bit of room for cargo and whatnot as well, so yeah, we'll see. John said, I gave lyrics from Chess the Musical, they might have gotten censored. Okay. Oh, is that... What? You gave lyrics from Chess the Musical and they got censored, and that just says minus chess. Like, as in, YouTube censored it on the fly because it recognized the lyrics, or you're just making stuff. You never know with John.
No.
You never know with John. He's, I don't want to say dodgy, but yeah. He is mischievous. So I think we start by taking some of this RCS, and we're going to have to reform it. So I'm going to copy this. We're going to make sure we stick our pivot point at the very front of the ship at this really hard to see point. We will move it. Let's see what his answer is. The song starts oh, it has political statements. That could also be a joke, John. It's hard to know. See, this is the problem when you're silly all the time. You establish yourself as silly and a jokester, and then no one believes you. It's like a light version of The Boy Who Cried Wolf. But you're the boy who cried chess.
And got censored.
And got censored by YouTube. Let's see. We always have a silly time here. Like and subscribe. Oh god, I feel like such a such a cop out doing that sort of stuff.
Oh.
But apparently it's a thing. Oh man, I just moved that. Oh, changed the pivot point of the wrong option. That's an object. So let's just center this and do the matching yet again. And we're rotating this 90 degrees. Now this is going to be way off for a reason, because the shape is different. So there's a few things we could potentially do. But I wish I had the original object so I knew what I did to scale it to that point. But I'm guessing that's way too back in the past. Let's see. You can check Discord later. Sent the lions. John says, "Did you know Ben needs your help to survive? Send a ransom money to Benjamin and via our YouTube." Yes. If you don't know what Benjamin is, be thankful, because once you see him, you cannot unsee him, and he will turn up. And John, he has been sitting in our role-playing sessions, and sometimes he brings luck, and sometimes it brings great misfortune. I have never seen so many ones on a die before, John. Thank you so much for the gift of Benjamin. Okay, I think we just had an autosave, which is why that was sort of chugging for a little bit. There's a couple of different elements here that I'm going to want to keep no matter what. One of them is going to be, obviously, the RCS thrusters, and you can already see that, or maybe it's not obvious, but like it widens out here, flaring out. This mismatch of lines is due to something we call we call it booleans, is the word I was looking for. I was about to look in the menu because I couldn't think of it for the second. But yeah, so I'm going to separate this first, and I think I'll just do it by selecting these polygons, and basically we're just trying to separate the top from the bottom. At the same time, we can actually, now that this is its own separate thing, we should be able to move it. If I just isolate that and take this rim here, I should be able to hit delete, and it'll just take out all of these extra vertices here that are from leftovers from the Boolean operation. This is one of the reasons why it's messy and not good modeling practice, at least in Maya. It's better than it was. It's a lot better than it was.
Honestly. It used to be completely cursed.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. Completely cursed. But yeah, we can move these up now towards the hull. The only thing is, if we study this, you can kind of see that these have been extruded at a certain level, and I think it's 0.2. So we might be better off creating where we're going to put this first. So it looks like that's pulled back level with this line, and then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because this is a different configuration too. We're going to have them side by side. So in fact, we only need one of these. And let's just go ahead and separate this into its own object. So we might just use this old object as a guideline. We're really not going to get far today because we've only got 10 minutes left. Mr. Boolean, Ben pretends to hate you, but we rely on you. I hear this in John's voice too. John's creepy, soothing voice. So yeah, we're just looking to create something quite similar. Perhaps the best way to do this is to look from overhead. And what we could potentially do is just select something in the kind of range. I'm going to redo this. Let's start up the top instead. And basically I'm just going to look for where this works up and down, right? So we've got, if we just deselect this And then we remove these. We should have where we want that sort of silvery section to be on the underside. So if I now look at this from above, it looks roughly like it corresponds. There's probably actually just one too many there. Yeah, one too many. It probably won't matter in the long run. And actually, because it tapers off more at the front, let's leave this as it is, and it'll be fairly balanced. So I'm just going to go and extrude this, and let's try a 0.2.2 extrusion. That's 0.2 millimeters. I use a grid scale of, now is that correct? It's kind of hard to know, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a temporary extrusion. Is there something wrong, Alvin?
No, I had this idea.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0.2 looks right.
There should be like a simple Mel script window in Maya where you could just toggle different grid setups.
Yeah. That could work, for sure. I'm not suggesting it shouldn't. Let's see. So for this thing, we're trying to get something quite similar here. So we just probably want, like, that's 4. So let's make that 4. And then something in the middle. The middle should be, doesn't look aligned. Kind of hard to tell. Oh, we should actually be able to like select these here. If we do this, yeah, it's deselected where we want it. So there we go, and then we just continue with these loops. All right, Brian says, John says, shh, just let it happen. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I've heard those exact words before, but my brain is blocking them out for some reason. John says, I think I can redo the plumbing to add a shower in the office.
Please don't.
I was actually thinking that. Well, you say that, Alvin, but you know, you're moving apartments soon. Maybe you'll need this solution. But yeah, turning. I can imagine him turning like our little cleaning closet into like a makeshift shower.
Okay, I was thinking he was talking about having an actual shower inside the specific office, not the office space.
Yeah, although it's only going to be good in the winter because it actually taps into the radiators.
Oh damn.
Yeah, I just imagine that to be a thing that John would do. I don't know why. He's actually a very much a Renaissance man. If he is indeed a man. He might be inhuman.
Or a machine.
Or a machine, yes. No, John is wonderful. Yeah. And of course we are just laughing at his expense, much as we do for Alvin. I'm sorry, you can take the Australian out of Australia. But, yeah. And it doesn't help that I was back there recently, so I blame my friends and family. Oh boy. That's not true. My Catholic guilt's coming back. Alrighty, so I think we got something here that we can extrude out. It's a bit oddly shaped as a plate, but I think you could still conceivably make this if you were in the habit of building spaceships. So let's extrude this by 0.2. And that's kind of like, if we turn off the wireframes, you can see that we're starting to get this effect of hole plating, right? And let's see, so this goes in 0.2, in 0.2, in 0.2, so let's do the same thing for these. Could have probably lowered that one down to just 3 polygons. John says, I am not evil. There is proof. I am human. 2 plus 2 equals 10. In base 4. I am fine. And then Tamsin says, he uses base 4. Burn the heretic. And I will just pretend that I knew what any of that meant. Alright, so we're getting to the phase where we might consider... Now, this is a completely different angle, so I don't think we can use it. They are angled in this direction. So what I'm wondering is, if we just rotate this... Let's... I was going to say center the pivot, but let's center the pivot, move the pivot point to there. And then if we just align it to one side so it looks like it's in line with things, and then move that back to there. Obviously it's the wrong angle, but we're trying to give ourselves like where we would expect this to be inserted. It's actually not that bad of an angle. What I might actually do, I don't know if this is practical. I think we need to actually change this to component. No, that's not working. Object. World. So maybe we need to rotate this first back into a regular plane. So I'm wondering if I've been very... Oh, no. Let's see, that's 5 degree. Maybe if I set this to 2.5. Sorry, I'm not really giving you guys a good indication of where we are. Okay, that looks fairly flat. So if we freeze the transformation here, what I'd like to achieve here is I'm just going to rotate this 90 degrees. Let's see, that's 90 degrees there. Freeze the transformations again, and then we angle it back to where it was approximately. This is 25 degrees. And that looks more flush to me. And then hopefully, because this object is now aligned, we can just push it forward. And I think we will turn off snapping altogether. And we get it to this point, right? So it looks like it just needs to slightly come... let's set this to object and rotate that just a few degrees. So the idea is we just want this to look completely under the surface. Something like that.
Under the sea, one could say.
I don't know about that. We're not Sebastian. And what I'm actually going to do here is a little cheat where whoops. So this is where the Boolean operation comes in. Because what we're actually going to do is scale this back so it's flat. We're actually going to fill this in. And this becomes our negative object. So now this might not work 100% to begin with. And in fact, I'm going to detach this entire plate, I think, to its own object for now. Oops, I need to select that. We are on 4 o'clock, so I'm going to end this in a second, but it seems like John is broken.
Yeah.
And we're going to try the Boolean operation. So let's go to mesh Booleans, and I think it's difference minus B8. No, it's not, but we'll change it. Let's see. We might be in the wrong combination as well. So this is a negative object. That's not what we want. Okay, I think maybe the issue is we need to
With the normals?
mash booleans difference. It's weird. It's kind of worked but not worked. So I think, I mean, there are other combinations. I could do this a different way, but what I'm actually going to do is close this and extrude. Just enough to sort of get this to the point where we've got two solid objects interacting with each other. Let's go mash booleans, difference AB, there we go. And then I'm just going to delete the history, which gets rid of all our history, funnily enough. And then we just take this temporary side out. So it's perfectly fine when modeling to create temporary objects and surfaces. Sometimes you want to save them. More often than not, you just want to get rid of it once you're done. It's just a tool. You can think in a different way to get what you want. So here we've only got this one arrow there. I think it would be aesthetically more pleasing if we did something closer to this. So I'm just going to look at what the geometry looks like. So it looks like I've made custom geometry by drawing a triangle in between these two areas. So I'm going to try doing something like that here. We'll go like so. And then we'll go like, must be something like this. Looks roughly the same. Only thing is, I probably did this before I extruded. So I might just try for something a little bit more on the outside. And actually, yeah, this is a bit ugly. Let's see. It is better to use booleans on small objects and not the main, since it sometimes messes with the geometry in unexpected ways that are far away. Yes, and in Maya at least you should delete history immediately after if you're going to modify it. Dalton prefers base 60. That is old fashioned. Okay.
Used in something.
I don't know. There is a way we might be able to cheat our way on this, and this will be a last thing I'm going to attempt. So we know that we want this triangle to be this size, but at -2. So we're going to go -0.2. That's the triangle we want to keep. So it's roughly similar to this in size, I think. Although that looks smaller anyway. Could be perspective. And anyway, that's the triangle we're making. Now we wanted a larger area here. So what we can actually do is extrude this back out by 0.2, which actually plugs a hole, but then take an offset of -0.2, which creates where we need our triangle to be, and then we just delete, the top part. Oops. Something like this. Why did it delete everything? I need to think. Oh right, yeah, because this isn't filled in anymore. So why didn't that work? Jeez, guys, I'm trying to show you a thing and it doesn't work. Whose fault is that? Is it my fault? It's probably my fault. So yeah, I'm just going to what is the right course of action? That is pretty close. So yeah, I'm just gonna push this down a tad. Like so. Why is this on the outside? So if we delete that, and then we take this and flip that, can we close this off? Yes. And then we just actually move these. And look at that. Despite the fact that we had ruined our geometry by extruding too early, we found an alternative method. And then I'm just going to go in here and triangulate some of these to create. Basically, it's for controlling the way that things are going to print in the end. So that should be solid, and then we should be able to just go 0.2 and 0.2. So there we go, we've got our triangle. And I think that is where we're going to wrap things up today. And we will leave the discussion of Sumerians and indications of base 60 being used up to 8,500 years ago to Dalton and John. Dalton, you're going to have to concentrate on driving to work, mate. And we're going to leave it at that. So next week, hopefully, we'll have this one out. I'm not going to promise it because it is a bigger job. And like I said, I need to do some Delta stuff. But we're definitely going to have the Slow Pinnace. And I think the 30-ton fuel module. And John should have the Second Dynasty style Small Craft miniatures done by that point as well. So look forward to more releases. I'm going to switch over to getting that product out. Thank you for joining me for this week. Be sure to tune back next week. And if you haven't, check out the link below to save the date for our Delta 2400 launch on the 6th. Right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.